Yo, what is good? Welcome to the video. Today I will teach you how to be a Void Knight, good Void Knight. This class is absolutely cracked. It is one of the highest DPS classes in the game, and it also has insane survivability. For those of you that are debating on playing the class, I encourage you to play the class. It is very fun. It reminds me of one of my favorite classes called Slayer from Elion. It plays very fast paced, has a lot of mobility. You can stop time, literally freeze enemies right where they stand. You can grant buffs to your allies, over 100% critical hit rate to your allies, or you could apply armor shred. There's a lot of different debuffs or buffs that you can do on this class, as well as the time gimmicks that make it really fast, really fun, and has really fast clear. But yeah, go ahead and hop into the build. I'll show you guys two variations of the build. Okay. All right, this current variation I'm going to show you is based upon crit. I'm actually gaining 150% increased critical hit chance, and I grant this to my allies that are nearby as well. Whereas the other build that'll be in the description is actually focused more on armor shred. So it really depends. You can min-max either way. It's just a one skill difference. This is the two best variations of the build that I've found so far. But as you know, with my builds, I will always iterate and change things moving forward. So I'm currently level 85 and I'm clearing level 100 content. These are empowered monoliths, and I'm clearing them with relative ease. Pretty much sleep through them, and I'm not really optimized in gear yet. I'll show you guys my full gear setup after I explain a bit more about the build. Okay, but yeah, this is the crit strike build, and then like I said in the description, check the armor shred build, but they're very similar in gear and play style. First, we have Eraser Strike, which is going to be our main DPS skill. Most of the DPS from Echo Strike doesn't come from the initial hit. It does 45k DPS, but my Rive actually does more DPS. It gets 48k. But Erasing Strike is still the best DPS skill for Void Knight because of the additional echoes. I only put 1 point in this because it is very mana heavy. However, you can guarantee an echo on your hardest hitting skill, Erasing Strike. So basically the skill is going to hit almost 3 times just for pressing it once. So then while your Erasing Strikes are auto casting, you can either Void Cleave to reposition or you can Rive. And that is the main like DPS rotation of this class. It is Void Cleave into Erasing Strike, or like Void Cleave into Anomaly into Erasing Strike. While Erasing Strike is going off, you Rive, and then you can Devouring Orb back into Erasing Strike. But essentially, yeah, it is Void Cleave, Erasing Strike is main DPS combo. Alright, so I'm also getting Void Shred Chance and then Void Rift damage, which is multiplicative. Increased stun chance, yeah, increased melee area. Insanely good skill, highest DPS skill by far. Rive, we are increasing the attack speed. This is what's going to give us more DPS because this is our mana generator, so we want it to activate as fast as possible, obviously. Third strike area, we're only going here so that we can get the third strike damage, which is multiplicative. Multiplicative damage is always great. We're getting more multiplicative Rive damage from our echoes. Bonus is tripled for echoes, so anytime our Rive echoes, we're getting triple DPS. So that is why our Rive is actually doing insane cleave and single target damage. Depends which hit echoes, but it's still insanely good DPS. Void damage, double echo chance. And then, so we're wearing an axe right now. So basically right now we're getting void damage per vitality. So the more vitality we stack for the Pothy's Maw that we're currently wielding, we will get more void damage on this skill. And then we have Void Cleave, my favorite skill in the game. This is literally my favorite skill in the game. And this is why. Dude, you press it and you're instantly slashing through enemies, one-shotting them. is an amazing skill. Not only does it one shot, it gives you a guaranteed crit on your next erasing strike, and that's why it's Void Cleave into erasing strike main DPS combo. And then it also increases the critical multiplier. Void Cleave critical strikes deal more damage. This is an insane skill. Insane skill. I cannot stress it enough. It applies critical vulnerability, and as you guys know, I'm running a crit setup, so I'm gaining over 150% crit chance just from one skill alone. So then I'm applying critical vulnerability and another 100% crit chance from just using Void Cleave. Like, this build has so much crit, you guys, so much crit. Improved Void Cleave's base critical strike chance, and then we're getting damage in area, max distance. And this is the most important thing. Turning Void Cleave into a traversal skill is the best possible thing you could do as a Void Knight. If you don't have this as a traversal skill and you rely on Shield Rush or you rely on Lunge, you're going to have an insane DPS loss, and you will also leech less health because Void Cleave, because it hits in such a wide radius, and you can stack more area for this so easily, and it does so much damage. It gives you so much life leech, which is sustain your survivability. Void Cleave is actually a DPS skill that grants the Void Knight survivability as well. It is a very important skill. Very, 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 very important. We're also getting the additional charge over here in Armor Shred. Notice the trend of Armor Shred where I can get it. Crit. Armor Shred and crit are priority in your trees on Void Knight. We're getting, like I said, decimation. Basically what happens when we cast Anomaly is it instantly activates. It's going to time lock the enemy for 2 seconds. They can't move. It increases the mana, which is bad, but the 2 seconds of enemies not being able to move is like invaluable. It's 2 seconds of just straight DPS and not worrying about mechanics. Then we have Time Bubble. We're changing our anomaly to activate instantly and give us Time Bubble, which Time Bubble gives us 150% crit. We're increasing the duration of Time Bubble. That way we can have it for the majority of the time, even when the anomaly is off cooldown. And then we're also casting Time Bubble on me so that when any of my teammates are near me, they will get that increased critical strike chance. Attack speed and cast speed, and then cooldown recovery. So again, anybody that's near me is going to get cooldown recovery, critical strike chance, attack speed, cast speed. I'm buffing my party while also buffing my own damage. Anomaly is a really, really, really good skill. I will cover, before I cover Nullifying Orb, I will cover Abyssal Echoes, just because it is in the build and description. Basically, with Abyssal Echoes, you apply Armor Shred. There is also a way to cast Abyssal Echoes automatically on Void Cleave, which if you can get more Void Cleave points, which I will eventually with my Exalt, that's when the Abyssal Echoes build is likely best in slot. So you get Armor Shred, Armor Shred effect, and then imagine casting that automatically every time you Void Cleave, you're casting more Armor Shred, and then you can get more damage and more attack speed buff. That's about 20% if you put 4 points into that. And then you also can get an extra 20% per point, meaning you can get 80% multiplicative damage on Erasing Strike and Void Cleave just for using Abyssal Echoes. So that 80% multiplicative damage on Abyssal Echoes is what makes Abyssal Echoes, I think, best in slot, like for late game. But for early game, when you just want to crit and just clear content, speed clear content, I think the Anomaly is better. But like I said, late game, Abyssal Echoes is going to scale very hard with that 80% multiplicative damage and instant cast on Void Cleave. Okay. So then we have Nullifying Orb. Nullifying Orb is giving us increased speed, increased attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed, just for it being active and getting extra 6%. Getting a bit more cast speed, but this is mostly for just for the mana efficiency, because this build is very mana heavy, so I wanted to reduce the mana of Devouring Orb since it is last priority in the skill rotation. I don't want to utilize mana that I could be using for a Racing Strike or anything else. So yeah, I'm just reducing the mana, and then mostly what this skill is for the increased mana regeneration, and then the global void damage multiplicative. So I want to reduce the mana of this skill, that way I can gain mana regeneration from using it and multiplicative global void damage. I'm also increasing the duration so that it can last as long as possible. That way because even though this is a 3-second cooldown, that doesn't mean I'm casting it every 3 seconds. It's literally last priority in your rotation. It's extremely good, but it's still last priority. You're still going to be using a Racing Strike before you ever use Devouring Orb. You're only going to use Devouring Orb when you're spacing, you're walking around, and you've already used Anomaly. It's last priority, but it is still extremely good like that. But you're getting Void Penetration and then a little bit more duration over here as well. Yeah, that is the build, you guys. My current gear right now, it is good. It's really good. However, I haven't bought anything from the marketplace other than a Relic offhand, which is Relic offhand. It's pretty good. However, an Exalted offhand would be 10 times better because I'd have much more resistances. So just showing you guys my stats, my current gear, I can still clear all empowered content until corrupted. So we're in game with this build, but like I said, I will expand upon it and I will give you guys updates. Increased health, increased strength, and physical resistance. I want that shield throw stat to be anything else. Like I would prefer vitality, but yeah, vitality would be really nice. It's a prefix, so what I would honestly prefer instead of this prefix would be, like I said, vitality. It's definitely best in slot. Increased echo damage when skill echoes is also extremely good. I think those would probably be my top two. Worst case, like you could get something into Devouring Orb. I wouldn't really want level of Anomaly. Honestly, you just don't really need it. Yeah, but definitely vitality would be best in slot. Other than that, all right, on my chest piece, I have a Racing Strike. I need to get that higher, but I'm gonna take more rolls. I have Strength, Health, Void Res. This is an extremely good chest piece, though I would prefer Strength to be T7 or T6 on the Exalt stat. It's still really good. For my belt, increased physical damage, increased void damage, Ellie Res, Endurance Threshold. All really good stats, all really essential stats. However, it's not Exalt, so I'm missing that, and I'm missing a sealed stat. Siphon of Anguish. I'm waiting for a 2 legendary potential. That way I can place... I want void damage, and I think critical strike avoidance likely are what I'm gonna put on my and then my opal ring here have mana regeneration, though I would prefer like void damage or cooldown reduction. There's a lot of other stats that I would prefer on this ring, but like void damage or strength would likely be priority. Ellie Res, Strike Avoidance are also really good stats on Opal. Yeah, for my boots, Transient Rest, these are again, they're placeholder, but they're really good placeholder. If you ever get these with legendary potential, you can just place movement speed and vitality on your on the boots. I think vitality, movement speed are probably best in slot. If you get like another stat, maybe like health regeneration, but vitality, movement speed are definitely gonna be best in slot if you get 2 legendary potential. And then for an Exalt, it would be vitality, movement speed, armor, health. Like I said, really good relic. Placeholder as an Exalt, you would want like melee void damage, increased void damage, lightning res. You want necrotic res, poison res. You want more resistances, and plus the most important thing from your relic is that you can get +4 to Void Cleave if you get a T7 Void Cleave relic. So it's really important to get the best in slot Exalted relic. It's probably going to be the biggest upgrade for this build outside of a legendary potential Apathy's Maw. So before I go to Apathy's Maw, I'm going to talk a bit about gloves. The swallowing of the erase will give you a lot of damage as leech. However, they're pretty low as far as armor. They don't give you crit. So like I believe these are really good if you can get some good stats in the Weaver's Will that give you more leech or more void damage. If you could just get essential stats on Weaver's Will for these, they are good. However, like I said, it is still going to be better to get Exalted gloves. Definitely going to be better because we're missing a lot of melee attack speed, which this class definitely needs attack speed. We're missing like health regeneration. We're missing a bit of crit. And then, like I said, for Apathy's Maw, we would want this with legendary potential. And then for legendary potential stats, we would want crit strike multiplier is like number 1. And then number 2 and 3, like melee attack speed, and then melee stun chance. Those are top 3 stats that we would want on Apathy's Maw. However, top 2, melee attack speed, crit strike multiplier, we definitely want to get that on Apathy's Maw with legendary potential. However, just the Apathy's Maw, like this is entry level into Endgame. And then, like I said, I'll give you guys updates as to start pushing corruption. Oh yeah, I'm a huge advocate of Jade Amulet for melee classes. Increased melee attack speed is just too good to pass up on, and I don't think I'll ever like advocate for another amulet over increased melee attack speed for a melee class. Other than potentially like Omnis could likely replace like Abyss Amulet, Jade Amulet. But we get increased critical strike chance, huge. Increased critical strike multiplier, huge. Increased health regeneration, huge. And then we get more resistance and mana regeneration. Like these are all your best stats, literally. Like your amulet is so important to have a best in slot Exalted amulet with a sealed stat. Like I could add more stats into this. It's gonna get so cracked. Okay. All right, guys. Those are my stats. I know my resistances are not maxed. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter until corrupted. I will fix them as I get some best in slot Exalteds. However, I am still doing perfectly fine running all content. I may die sometimes here or there, but for the most part, it's very hard for me to die. I literally would have to sleep, like fall asleep on my keyboard, which does happen after playing for 12 hours. But anyway, last thing I want to show you guys is my idols. 13% of cold damage, increased melee void damage. Then we get armor shred and increased melee damage after skill echoes. This idol I think is really important. The Adorned Rhea, I think it's really important because it's just extra additive damage upon echoes, and most of your damage comes from echoes. So if you could boost that, why not? I would prefer like armor and health here, but I mean this reduced damage and melee void damage is really good. Void res, health regen, crit chance, lightning res, Ellie res. I'm getting a lot of resistances from these on the right side. I like to basically put resistances here, damage here for Sentinel. But yeah, we have increased echo damage when skill echoes, 147%. Absolutely cracked. Like you can get some really good defensive idols for Sentinel, dude, but then you miss out on all this additive damage, man. And it's so huge. 30% increased melee damage, and then so a little bit of damage reduction. These two will definitely be replaced once I get health regen and armor, or if I can get health regen and melee void damage, I'll replace these two. But as of right now, you know, this is fine for the content I'm running. We're doing it very fast rate. So yeah, that is my build. You guys have seen some gameplay. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Thanks for watching the video, you guys. Peace and love.